Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. And thanks so much for the few Patreons that I do have that help support this channel. Much appreciated. And remember, folks, it's Just Whiskey. Today, we're going to be talking about the Johnnie Walker 12 experience. This bottle is an antique bottle that dates back somewhere between 1969 to 1972, possibly 1976 at the very latest, but I think it's closer to 1969 to 1972. There's been a lot of behind-the-scenes detective work, and I'd like to give another shout out to an MIA subscriber, Sid Finch. I sent him pictures of the duty stamp, tax stamp label, the bottle, the top, bottom of the bottle, the back of the bottle, and he did some extensive research, and we're going to be sharing that information and talking about the bottle and how I acquired it and everything. So this is going to be a tasting notes. I haven't written anything down, right? This is going to be like a live experience, and I hope it's not going to be too long, but I'm just kind of going to go with the flow a little bit. And if you notice, I'm wearing a fog hat shirt in the back here too, right? 1971, so they're celebrating over 50 years, I think 52 years now. The only original member is the drummer, Roger Earl. He's 77 years old, and I saw them last night at the Barnstable County Fairgrounds on Cape Cod, and they were great, and his drumming is incredible. They really, they have some hired hands, but they've been with Foghat for quite a while now. What a great night. Yeah. All right. This is incredible stuff, let me tell you. So let's get the devil in the details out of the way. I don't think the camera's going to pick it up, but this bottle, okay, is riddled with tiny air bubbles in the glass. So the glass looks antique. It is antique. But yeah, it is riddled with little air holes in it. So I'm just surmising that back then, the glass quality was not a priority, and maybe it was, it's certainly heavy duty. It's thick. But yeah, you can't see it. So in no particular order, all right, we're gonna read the entire thing on here. So there's lots of little hints as to time frames, and so this bottle says imported by Somerset Importers Limited, New York, New York. There was I don't want to get into too deep of a dive. So blended Scotch whiskey. Johnnie Walker Black Label, 100% Scotch whiskies, distilled in Scotland, blended and bottled by Johnnie Walker and Sons, Killarnark, Scotland, and it's 86.8 proof, so 43.4% ABV, which is interesting. It also says 4/5 of a quart, bottled in Scotland, 12 years old, Johnnie Walker and Son. Okay, then on the back, there's that gold triangle. It says, distilled and bottled in Scotland under British government supervision. And then on the bottom of the bottle, it says, it's embossed with liquor bottle Scotland. And it gives there's some symbols on there, and then there's also a number, SB984. And the tax stamp Oh yeah, and then also too in the top label, this little label up here, it reads, "By appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, Scotch Whisky Distillers, Johnnie Walker and Sons Limited." So it's a screw cap, and the tax stamp starts with the number 55 and ends with 8113. There's some numbers in there that have been, ripped off due to the. But Sid Finch actually did some research, and there's some minute details in here that are easily overlooked, but it gives clues to the age of this bottling. And it says, U.S. taxes, U.S. something paid, U.S. revenue. But then also, too, there's, in the middle of the tax stamp, there's an eagle. And to the bottom left of the eagle, it says series. And to the bottom right of the eagle, it says 112, so 112. And U.S. internal revenue. And so with all this information that I've looked at and have been told, when this was gifted to me, I was told it's from the 1960s and 1970s. But I think we've zeroed in on, again, it's 1968, 69 to 1971, 72 probably. So a friend of mine from the Norfolk Whiskey Group brought this exact bottle, over several months ago, and I didn't have any expectations, and he poured me a little bit, and wow, I was really blown away by it. And he just had another visit, and he brought it again, and there wasn't much left in the bottle, but he was very generous and kind, and gave me this. And so I want to share my experience. And yeah, let's go into the nosing and tasting. So right away on the nose, this smells and reminds me of Craigellachie 23-year-old. It also reminds me of Compass Box Velature, which is their they try to recreate like the old bookstore, old books, antique books, in the nose, and this has this. If you told me this was a 20-year-old whiskey, I would. If you told me it was a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old, I would believe you. This is quality stuff. So on the nose, you're getting that, a little bit of that. If you've ever had Craigellachie 23-year-old, you know what I'm talking about, where they use worm tubs, and they actually try to get a little sulfur intentionally into it. So this has that character in it, but by no means is it off-putting whatsoever. So I'm guessing there's a little bit of sherry in this, or was, but you're getting that old, dank, musty bookstore, and brown sugar, a little bit of maple. I could nose this. I could nose this all night long, and it's oxidized, in the bottle, quite a bit. But it's also very very cloudy. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with this whatsoever. I don't know how long he had the bottle open. But boy, if you told me this was Craigellachie 23-year-old on the nose, I would believe you. Okay, on the palate. Very, very nice. Some of the viscosity has gone away, probably due to oxidation. So the mouthfeel is a little bit on the lighter side, which is to be expected. Um, but it's very gentle, and the finish is, believe it or not, is medium to long actually. And this has some really nice legs to it, I'll tell you. This is very very viscous, very thick legs. It's just, this is such an experience to revisit the yesteryear. I'm not going to compare it physically to the new Johnnie Walker 12 Black Label. I've never bought a bottle of it, but I've had it at weddings and funerals and um, an occasional bar. And it's, the new Johnnie Walker 12. It doesn't even compare at all to this. And they've watered it down to 40%, chill filtered it, probably colored it. And it's, my opinion, the Johnnie Walker 12, it's a one-trick pony. It's not complex at all. But let's just get back to this. Yeah, it's let's get into it some more. It's dry. It's a very subtle sweetness to it, but it's dry, lingering, and there's a very slight pepperiness to it, very subtle pepperiness, wood spice. It really makes you pucker up. So it's gonna. I hate to use the word astringent, but it's mouth puckering, drying, mouth watering. Um, what a magnificent experience. It's really too bad with how they really have commercialized and overprocessed their uh, their later offerings. But boy, wow. The nose offers more than the palate, but again, this is, oxidized quite a bit, and you know, God damn it, it's let's just say it's 1970. I mean, this thing is what, 53 years, well over 50 years old. Yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of sherry in there, ex-bourbon sherry. Um, I hate to say, dried fruits because it sounds so cliche, but but I'm not picking out, raisins per se or anything like that, but there's an element of dried fruits in there. Um, a little bit of, maybe a little bit of chalkiness, but boy, that nose, oh my God. Mm. Um, yeah, maybe a little bit of Wrigley spearmint chewing gum in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, little bit of that. Um, mm, just delightful. Again, when it was brought to me several months ago, and I first tried it, I had zero expectations, and I was really wowed and blown away. I'm like, wow, this is this is an experience, and yeah. Um, I could go on and on and on, but I think we've covered it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, put them in the comment section, and I will answer them as best I can. But I would say, if you have a chance to buy a vintage bottling of Johnnie Walker 12 at auction for a reasonable price, it is well worth the experience. When people talk about, how whiskey once was, this is how whiskey once was. Yeah, boy. I'm going to cover this tonight and smell it in the morning. Thanks for joining me in this experience, and a special thank you and shout out to Sid Finch. He does great behind the scenes detective work, and although I've never met him, it's like I know him, and yeah. So thank you, Sid, for your help and your friendship from the other side of the pond. Much appreciated. All right. Hats off to you all, and take care, folks. And listen to Foghat.